Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Its affiliated and third-party insurers.
Sponsored by Anthony Mendez.
AM 1220 KDOW and Money 2.0 present The Real Estate Report with Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines. Bay Area real estate and mortgage experts with over 25 years in the business. Now, with an in-depth look at this week's local and national real estate news and what it means for you. Your hosts, Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines.
Welcome into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon M. Hines.
Gordon.
M stands for money, by the way.
M for money.
Yes, sir.
You've been in money your whole life.
Been in money my whole life.
Which is...
Not a very long time. I'm a young man still at heart.
When you think about it, though, did you ever get caught up in any of those cliches? Like when I first got into business, everybody was like, "Oh, you need to get a email that says Tony does mortgages at gmail.com or something like." Did you ever get caught up, or a website that was like weloanmoneyfast.com? Did you ever get caught up in anything like that?
Yeah, that's my saying. We loan money fast.
I know it is. I know it is. But you didn't get caught up in like the whole website. Like you see realtors every once in a while, you get an email and it says Joe Schmo Real Estate. We sell fast or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
That's what people remember. Believe it or not, people remember these kind of things. That's why some of the biggest slogans, people don't know who the company is, but they remember the slogan.
Right? Ours is BayAreaLoanSource.com. I thought it was, for a while, BALS.com, but that didn't play out. I wasn't able to say that too often on the air. But you remember that.
Absolutely.
This is a call-in show, 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is a Real Estate Report. We do a real estate show. It can have anything to do with real estate or mortgages or credit or finances, anything that has to do with you buying investment property or property for yourself or commercial property, things like that. What are you seeing in the market right now, Gordon?
A lot of change in the market. We tried it last week. Biggest thing I'm noticing, a lot of price reductions out there. Talking to a lot of realtors, talking to a lot of buyers. Some buyers now are anxious to get back in the market because some of the houses that they were seeing in neighborhoods that they were seeing, they believe that with price reductions, that means things are coming down, which is good. The other thing that we always look at, of course, is DOM, days on the market. The longer properties stay on the market, the more you tend to see a price reduction. So like we always talk, the market does change. The market works on energy, both in the plus side and the negative side. So we do anticipate some change. But this is what the fall is here. We just come off the summer. A lot of people are typically on vacations in the summer, so we don't see a lot of big sales. So now we're the second biggest sale of the month, which is the fall semester. So we should see a big upswing in sales going on through the end of the holiday period.
Puts a little bit more pressure, I think, on realtors, right, Gordon, where you have a seller who they're seeing everybody else getting over asking price, and now it's kind of slowing down a little bit. And then there's a statistic out there from the National Association of Realtors that says your house will sell for the most it will sell for during your listing in the first 3 weeks of listing. So if you don't get an offer in the first 3 weeks, or you don't take an offer in the first 3 weeks, you theoretically are going to start dropping your price just to get an offer in. So does that put more pressure on that realtor to set the price right in the first place, as opposed to because we saw a lot of realtors underpricing just to get that activity. Now they're just setting it at market price and then getting that multiple listing. It put more pressure on them, I think.
Well, once again, we always push professional service. A professional service, different things work at different times. The market that we're accustomed to, when I say accustomed to the last 12 to 24 months, is if you're a realtor, you put something in the market at a lower price, you expect to get much, much overbid. You put the buyer on edge. They don't know how high they come in, and that's how they've been generating these multiple high price offers. I just spoke to a client today, by the way, which I said to myself, wow, that's not professional service. In a major city, lady had her house listed for like $875,000. She had two offers, one for $950,000 and another one for $1.2 million. I can't figure out the logic behind this. And it was a cash offer with no contingencies. Her and her realtor got together and countered at $75,000 higher. And the buyers, they didn't even get a response. Deal is dead. She's upset, of course. Wouldn't know where she went wrong. I don't know where the advice came. To me, that's greed. But if you only had one additional offer, and the additional offer was slightly over asking, you had an offer that was way over asking, you counted that offer, it's It just kind of changes the marketplace, and you just got to make sure you work with a professional, understand the dynamics of the market. The market has changed, and we got to make sure we change along with the market if you want to get your house sold or you want to stay competitive in today's marketplace.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird scenario where they're countering somebody that's already over asking price.
Way over asking price.
Way over asking.
All cash.
Yeah, I'm not saying this person's not a professional, whoever that agent was, but
Well, I'm saying that's incompetence if you ask me.
Okay.
Who's asking me?
Well, I am.
Okay.
And the buyers out there asking, how? I'm the sellers too.
seller.
I mean, you have sellers out there that I have them all right in front of me. Redfin warns of a weakening real estate market. Home listing price cuts become more common, especially in the high end. A slight chill coming for the Bay Area housing market. Weekly mortgage applications drop as home buyers drop off. Housing tipping back to a buyer's market as sellers cut prices. These are 5 articles that I have right in front of me right now, and they're the first 5 I got. So, are we really feeling this? And as a seller, you going out there and just picking randomly a realtor, is that the way we want to do that nowadays, or do we? How do we find that trusted realtor to make sure that they're doing the right thing and making the right decisions for you?
Well, I think once again, I think decision making is very important. I think what's good today might not be good yesterday, or vice versa. As the market begins to tip in either direction, a professional is supposed to recognize those tips and kind of adjust accordingly. Just like when we do loans, we realize when rates are going up, it's our job to hinge to our clients, hey, listen, it's time to lock. Rates are going up, and you can't sit on the fence any longer. Rates are not going to go any lower. Now, it's up to the client to follow the advice from us. We're the professionals. Not all clients follow advice. So at the end of the day, I can't blame it on the realtor because they were in this thing together. Maybe the realtor said we can get more because the house around the corner sold for more. That might have been the ultimate target. But if you get that much over asking price and you counter and you don't get a response back, the buyers just walk away, and now you're upset. Now she's talking about, well, I need to lower my purchase price because I really need to sell the property. That's what I'm talking about. To me, that wasn't the best advice, and they didn't come to the best decision.
We got a caller from Hayward. John from Hayward. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. Well, a quick question about, you were talking about more days on market these days. What cities are you talking about, sir? Where the sales have slowed down?
Well, we're talking some parts of Contra Costa, some parts of all neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods we're not seeing changes, but in many parts of the area, seeing days on the market is an indication that, normally we were seeing 3, if you go back through the MLS, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10 days on the marketplace. Now you see a house on the market 40 days. Once the house stays out, they become stale. Then you see the price reductions start to come. And then sometimes you can actually have a price reduction. The property can sell for the same price, but it's just days on the market. It's a good indicator that the market is changing.
I actually think that's a really good caller, but I appreciate the call, John. John from Hayward. You can always call the show 800-516-1220. I wouldn't start there if I was looking. We're not sure why John's looking at days on the market. Maybe he's looking to buy a house and wondering if this is a place that you could probably get a deal. But you also have to consider that days on the market that could keep getting worse, which means you could also see more price reduction. It could be the beginning of some sort of event. Gordon, am I the first one to say that? Probably not. I'm looking at, like I said, 5 articles here that's saying showing a little bit of evidence that we are seeing a slowdown nationally. Personally, I don't see the Bay Area as being affected as much, but I do think that John might be on the right track here of looking at some of the indicators on where some of the price breaks might be starting. And we don't know what price range he's looking at. We don't know if he's looking at a single-family duplex or an investment property. But those are some of the indicators, and I think eventually we'll see, things play out. But the Bay Area just has too many solid owners. Now let's look at the ownership pool. I call it the ownership pool. The Bay Area led the nation in 2 very, very interesting stats. They have the most qualified homes to sell for sellers that have equity, and they have the most amount of homes that have equity to sell in the United States. Meaning that people like living here. And then add on top of that the fact that most of the people who have bought or refinanced in the last, let's just say 7, 8, 9, 10 years have gotten 1, low interest rates, and 2, some of the tightest guidelines that they've ever experienced, most likely. And then on the top of that, we've got a lot of equity growth. So they're sitting on a house that has a lot of equity, they have great interest rate, and they qualified for the loan. So do you really think that because a few people, a few houses are going to sit on the market a little bit longer, or we might see a little bit of slowdown in the price range on the upper end, or we might see less buyers? Do you really think we're going to see a market correction based on what you know about the owners?
Well, actually, if you
I'm asking you, Gordon. This
if you understand economics, if you talk to any economist, the first thing they always talk about is leading economic indicators. The indicator is going to tell you which direction the market is going to start to flow towards. Now, nothing is 100% foolproof. But one of the key indicators in real estate, if you look at days on the market, it's very, very important. The longer a house stays on the market, the very few owners can sustain that time to hold their house out there for sale. So if you have your house on the market for 40 days, let's say, for example, or you have your apartment listed for 40 days, you're not getting any calls, you're not getting any qualified tenants or buyers, all works the same economics. Something is wrong in your formula. Your price might be too high. So what you have to do is to lower your price, or go back and make some corrections to your property. Maybe change the curb appeal, change the colors, change the carpet. You have to do something different to make that property sell or be attractive. If you're getting lots of looks and you're not getting the offers, you have to make an adjustment. The normal adjustment that we look at is we look at price reduction. That's why you see those price changes come out. And we do a price reduction. That's why as realtors, we advertise to the market. Price change. It kind of gives the house new energy. Maybe the person that looked at it before now go back and give it a second look. Now, they might still come back and offer the same price or end up back at the same price, but those are the economic indicators that's key if you're tracking the market and the market performance, especially in our area.
The national median list to sale time, or days on market, is 64 days. Across the Bay Area, Oakland, for example, they're doing 38 days, so almost half. San Francisco is 36 days as of April. So, I mean, you're looking at, even if we did see a little bit more days on the market, all we're leaning towards is more of a normalized market. We're not leaning towards any kind of correction. All right. So I'm kind of flip-flopping on why John and Hayward
you have to define
would be,
what normal is. There's no such thing as normal. In the last 5 years, we have never been in a normal market. We have the extremes. The market's been really, really super low where they were giving.
Okay, what about the other indicator of
houses are way over asking price?
Months on inventory. So we have months of inventory. I think right now we have less than 2 months of inventory. I think it's like 1.5 months of inventory. Normal is 6, or you can call that the average. So are we, just because we have houses longer on the market, does that mean we're leaning towards more of a more inventory, or meaning 6 months of inventory on the market? Probably not.
Well, once again, if you go back to economics, if you have days on the market increasing, inventory increasing, more competition, more houses to buy for buyers, that's when you start seeing the market change from a seller's market to a buyer's market, because now the buyers have more choices. They don't have to go in and offer $100,000 asking price just to get their offer accepted. That's all we're saying. Look at the economics. We're not saying the market's crashing or changing tomorrow. We're looking at the market's changing. Boy, that was heated.
800-516-1220. Get your calls on the air. 800-516-1220. You can email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We'll be right back after this break. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines, and this is the Real Estate Report. Missed it by 3 seconds.
Any reason why I cut him off so soon?
The Infidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon M. Hines.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can always call it 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. We had a call from John and Hayward about days in the market, and kind of where it is. And you can go to, there's plenty of resources. You can always email us. I can send it to you to look at days on the market. Nationally, we're well below the national number of 64 days on the market, somewhere in the 30s. I like looking at buyer traffic as well. If you see buyer traffic slow down, which we really aren't, I think nationally we are, but I think some of the bigger headlines when it comes to what's happening in the market, for example, this comes from, who does this come from? this is an article on how the buyer's market, or sorry, it's tipping towards buyer market as sellers cutting prices. Approximately 14% of all listings in June had undergone a price cut. That's up from the record low or recent low of 11.7. So we're seeing more homes nationally undergoing price cuts. This is according to Zillow, actually. Home price growth is slowing. Nearly half of the 35 largest U.S. metropolitan markets are reporting that. In places like San Diego, 20% of all listings had a price cut in June. That's up from 12%. So we are seeing those kind of price cuts. Is another thing you want to look at: days on the market, months of inventory, and then price cuts.
One of the other things that I always look at that the buyers or people on the street won't notice is, and one of the internal mechanisms that I've noticed is what we call programs. As the market gets, I'm not going to use the word stale in a negative sense. As it gets stale, the market needs volume to continue at the same productions, keep the same amount of people employed that we were when the market was flying high. As you watch the investors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they would start to add programs to keep adding fuel to the fire. To keep, the more programs you add, you can keep new buyers that you selectively had passed on before to help keep that market volume going. And one thing that we've been seeing is, we always talk in the program, rates are great, but programs drive the market. We're seeing a lot more programs coming in with the non-QM products. We talk about the bank statement program. There's doctor loans, there's dentist loans, there's all kinds of different loans that have actually come out.
Down payment assistance.
Down payment assistance are coming back. You know, these are all the internal mechanisms that we see that is an indicator of volume on our side, on the lending side, that actually begin to slow, and to kind of keep the capacity going, or to keep the people employed. The market comes out with new products, and they start to add more products to kind of keep the volume up so the market can stay healthy and strong.
I don't have the article in front of me right now, but so we're talking about London is having a crisis right now where they're seeing affordability problems with their just massive appreciation that they saw in home prices are well out of the affordability range, where a lot of banks have come out and said, we're just not getting any volume. And they're coming out with just massive amounts of products to help people get into mortgages. So that's kind of the whole story, and what's the side effect of seeing affordability problems and buyer problems. On that note, one of the stories I ran across not too long ago in I think Business Insider was about first-time home buyers. There's and it's about Maryland. Like, Maryland's got this first-time home buyer program. Okay, so what the story kind of goes on and says, you can do as little as 3.5% down. That's FHA, and they talk about VA, and they talk about USDA and things like that. But then they go on to say, and this is where it becomes misleading, and this is the unfortunate part about somebody who's looking for a house, and they're just going to go to the Zillows or they could just go to their normal news source and get a story. It says conventional loans require 20% down. That is completely false. For conventional loans, we're talking about the Home Ready product. You can do as little as 3% down up to, what is it, is it 5% down up to $679,000, but 3% down up to the $453,000?
Yeah, on a QM product, on a qualified mortgage.
On the qualified
Freddie Mac type based mortgage.
Right. So you could do
453.
So why would you're looking at an article right here that says conventional loans require 20% down payment, but FHA loans require only 3.5%. FHA part's true, but the conventional loans is false. So the story here is that it's hard to get real, true, solid information directly from the internet, where most people are going nowadays.
Well, I mean, I won't say real, true, solid information. We always talk with the internet. The internet is a plethora of information. You have to go through. We always say go through and qualify and quantify the information. That particular article was probably written by a person who was given information, who knows nothing about loans. He just wrote what he was told, but he didn't qualify the information that what a conventional loan is. Standard, I guess, is 20% down. If you need anything more than that, you need mortgage insurance. But we can do non-mortgage insurance products where the insurance is built into the rate. All kinds of different programs. He's not an expert. That's just one man's opinion.
There's a couple ads for mortgages on here, by the way. Okay. I mean, that's what you're going to find. A lot of these articles will have an ad to, hey, by the way, you just read our article. Can you click on this button and see what you can qualify for? I'd be careful about those. We'll come back after this break. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is the Real Estate Report. You can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com, or email us, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. This is the Real Estate Report.
AM
Programs are subject to change. Classic Home Loans, Lafayette, California. NMS number 242483.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
You can always call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. You can email the show, email the show, Tony at BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon at BayAreaLoanSource.com. We got an email here from Joe in Alameda. Joe has a lot of equity in his house and feels it's not being used to its potential. He would consider cashing out and buying some more real estate out of the area. He says he can afford a higher payment on his current house. What do you think of this general philosophy? I think this is a story we're going to hear more and more often, Gordon, as people are like, all right, I got $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 in equity. I'm not getting any return on it. I've had my mortgage for a while. It's a good write-off. But, it's $1 million house. I owe $400,000, and what am I going to do with this equity? I kind of like the idea. I'd rather you stay in California when you say out of the area. Does that mean out of state? I don't know. A lot of people are looking at the opportunities of the kind of migration. That's another story you're going to hear over and over about people exiting the Bay Area and places like LA as well. They're moving to places like Sacramento, a couple cities in Texas. We know that Google and Facebook have opened up some offices there. Research Triangle in North Carolina, Wilmington, Nashville, Denver. That brings up a whole story about North Face. They're going to close up their office in Alameda. Maybe Joe works there, for example. Who knows? And they're closing up their shop. I think 625 or 650 jobs, boom, gone. And they're going to Denver. And Denver said, we're going to give you some tax incentives, and we're going to help relocate your people. And there you go. So you can look at some of these cities and say, these are places that are growing. Are we going to see the same kind of growth as a percentage-wise in the Bay Area? I don't think so. I mean, I think the majority of the consensus is that we're going to see a slowdown as far as appreciation. We're seeing already that slowdown in the higher end, Gordon. I think over the affordability range, I would say that's about 1.2 in the Bay Area. But in the lower range, we're still seeing double digits year over year. I like the philosophy, though. I think that if Joe was to buy a property, well, here's what I would do. If I was sitting in front of Joe, I would find out how much he wants to spend on his mortgage, and I'd calculate a loan amount, and then I would see how much equity he can get out of the property. And then I would start looking at properties and see what kind of rate of return he can get elsewhere. This is a philosophy I know you talk about all the time, and the word is leverage.
Well, the first thing I would say to Joe is congratulations, Joe. You got options. The key thing in life is options. So you have a house with great equity position. You've got options. You can do nothing. Or, as the old cliche we always say, is to put yourself in a position where the house and you let your money work for you, you not work for your money. So if you have an opportunity where rates are low to take some cash out, to invest in additional investment, maybe invest in your retirement. There's so many different options and things you can do out there. But the thing we always push you back to is make sure you talk to a professional. Don't try to hand the burden on yourself. I don't know what your profession is, but talk to a professional. If you are a professional, get another professional's advice, because sometimes you can learn something that you didn't realize that you thought that you knew, but now you found out you didn't know. So always go back to the professional, but you got option. That's what we like to praise you on.
So, and I think we run across this question more often than people think. Would you steer somebody towards an equity line? And I'm going to say no to that. Or would you steer them towards a total refinance, re-amortize their current loan with a little bit of cash out, and then take that money and do what you want with it?
It depends on the person's financial flavor. A person that has a lot of flavors to deal with and have lots of money coming in and, have a lot of windfalls. Maybe as a broker and make big time commissions. The equity line might not be a bad deal, because you have to have an exit strategy that we were talking about when you use an equity line. So you can throw chunks of cash, as some of those programs are talking about paying down the equity lines. The equity line might be the best deal, but it might be the best deal for that person, but it's not be the best deal for the guy working at Walmart who makes $30 an hour and can't muster up those large cash infusions to throw money at his equity line. So different situations.
And then you got the write-off scenario too on the equity line. So can you write off an equity line? Not, but
a lot of people. We have major changes coming up in 2018. Believe it or not, at the end of the day, if you look at our mortgage history, most of us are going to be tapped out on our first mortgage at $10,000 interest cap. So the equity line is going to make a difference.
That's your property tax.
Property tax.
Right? You're looking at me very puzzled right now.
Thought it was interest. I have to look it up on the break.
We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is the Real Estate Report.
And we're brought to you by Clark Pest Control. Let's tell you about a couple.
1, 2, 3, 4. Call now.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Hello, hello. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I hope that you're missing me, 'cause it makes me feel young.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Report.
Last time that I saw you,
I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon
Hines. You can always call the show 800-516-1220 or email the show Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. Mortgage rates are stepping back a little bit. It's kind of a misleading headline here. 4.53%. It seems like I've been saying that for how many weeks now? Probably 10, 15 weeks. I've been saying that rates are right around 4.5%. It's kind of good news, especially leading to the end of the year when we really think we're going to see at least one rate hike. But even after the last couple rate hikes, the rates kind of still leveled off. They go up and then they come back down after everybody realizes that our inflation really isn't as bad as it is. And then, these are great rates. They're still at least 1.5% lower than our historical average. The 15-year at 4.01% and the 5-year ARM at 3.87%. With these rates this low, Gordon, would you even consider an ARM?
It depends on what my long-term strategy is going to be. The 30-year fix to me is still the best product on the marketplace. With rates, like you said, at historic lows or medium historic lows, it's kind of really hard for me to talk against a 30-year fix. There are many times we think that we're going to do something for a short period of time, but as time goes on, time changes that time.
Time changes that time.
So if you opt for a 5-year fix, for example, because you plan to move and relocate to retire in 5 years, in 5 years all hell's broke loose and you can't do it and you need to stay on your job for another 3 years. If you're in a 5-year fix and let's say your income is changing, you can't qualify, now you're at the mercy of the marketplace because you have to do what that market.
I think a lot of people got afraid of
change.
They saw a lot. It could have been them or their neighbor or their brother or some other family member got into that situation, and that's why we see these arms so low. But
if it's not a if it's not a significant difference, sometimes don't count pennies to lose dollars.
Look, if I'm getting an $800,000 loan and I'm looking at a 30-year fixed, I'm just throwing these numbers. I'm not making any quotes by any means. 4.5%, or I'm looking at a 7-year ARM at 3.75%, and I got a 0.75% difference. I'm looking at thousands of dollars over that next 7 years. Thousands of dollars, $30,000, $40,000 difference to end up with the same balance. So why would I take a 30-year fix when I can just take a 7-year ARM?
Well, if I'm 30 years old and I just started with the law firm and I know I'm going to make more money, by all means, I'm going to opt for the ARM. But if I'm 55 years old, I'm looking to slow down and work less hours, and I know that in 5 years' time, I might be fully retired and not making the same amount of money to qualify for $800 loan, I'm going to go with the 30-year fix. So timing is very, very important. That's why it's very, very important to talk to a professional, to help that professional walk you through your strategy, walk you around that right path to make sure you make that right decision that's going to work for you long term.
I agree. A little bit more news. Look at this story. New Zealand is banning most foreigners from buying houses. This is pretty interesting. They're saying that they ban most foreigners from buying houses because of their runaway home prices. Previously, the housing market was open to investors worldwide, but the government on Wednesday passed legislation that allows only New Zealand residents to buy homes. Is that a precedent, you think? I mean, I know the United States will probably never do that. I mean, practically anyone that has a visa, H-1 visa or work visa, any kind of visa, you can buy a house in the United States. But I mean, they're looking at home prices going up. They want New Zealand. There's interesting quote here from the Prime Minister, and he says, this government believes that New Zealanders should not be outbid by wealthier foreign buyers. We want to take a step towards restoring the great New Zealand dream of home ownership. I mean, it's kind of idealistic in a way.
Well, the problem I have with that is first of all, that's not capitalism, my first thought process. Second of all, that's a short-term decision. You look at the overall market. Whatever goes up comes down. The market's hot right now, and your New Zealanders get some outpriced. Like the Californians get outpriced. You hear the same thing in Oregon. People don't like to do California bashing. But there's come a point in time where they're going to wish Californians come to your marketplace. The same thing's going to happen in New Zealand. The market slows down, and there's no equity and no foreign investors coming in. You'll see that change. Now they're going to give double incentive if you are foreign to come in and buy a house. So it's a short-term decision. You know, I don't like those type of decisions. I like the market to play itself. I like the market to work things out. The less more hands we have in the market, I think the better overall the market operates.
Okay, so but you like free trade. You like the Bay. You can't help but think about the Bay Area and the amount of foreign buyers. In China, for example, the Chinese are the number one foreign buyers here in the Bay Area, and Canada is in there, Mexico, and it goes. The list kind of dwindles off from there, but.
Well, let's look at a lot of cities are complaining about the same thing. So let's say you see the city of Oakland. So the mayor comes out, I think it's Libby Schaaf comes out and says, okay, we're going to pass a moratorium where the only people who can buy homes in Oakland are people that are original Oakland
from Oakland instead of San Francisco,
live and work in Oakland. So, you know, it might sound great to those people that live in there and work in there, but when it's time to change or move out, all of a sudden that decision works against them in the long run, and all of a sudden they think it's the worst decision since sliced bread.
I also think it's timing. If you're a homeowner and you're watching your home price value go up and up and up because foreign buyers, you're really only getting the value if you sell the house. I think buyers kind of sit back and they're like, oh, what's going on here? Should I buy? Is this, what happens if the foreign buyers fall back or they decide to start selling their investments? Which I've been talking about for years. There's not only foreign investors, but professional investors, which I still don't think, as long as rents stay high, are going to pull out. So I don't know. It's give and take from one and the other. I mean, if you're an owner, you have to appreciate the fact that people want to buy where you live. At the same time, there's an affordability issue from the seller's, the buyer's point of view.
And it all works itself out. Our protocol, as we always talk in the show, is the market works on energy. And energy plus or negative is energy. That's how the market works, market trends, and that's causes change. Sometimes the market needs to take a breather. As we were talking about interest rates going up and up and up. The reason why they're going up and up and up because they realize if the market hits a stumble, they have to have a higher rate to lower it to. If you keep the market rates low and the market starts stumbling, you can't have no stimulus by lowering rates. There's nothing to lower to. So that's how the economy works. The economy works on cycles, changes, energy.
Kind of wanted a little bit more time on this other story. San Francisco's housing crisis is so bleak. A startup company is reinventing homeschooling so teachers can afford to live where they work. Teachers and other public workers, and it could be firefighters and of the like, and are having trouble living and buying where they actually work. This startup company, it's called Wonder School, is helping preschool teachers stay in San Francisco by providing them with frameworks to set up preschools and daycares out of their homes. I think it's an interesting idea. They're paying them a little bit more. They're able to do the schooling out of their house, and they set them up with the framework, and they can actually make on average about $78,000, which helps them with their rent. Very interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of changes like this as we see this market continue to develop. We'll come back after this break. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. You can always email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com, or call the show, 800-516-1220. We'll be right back.
And we're brought to you by the Positive COVID.
Start something.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Breaking in, shaping up, then checking out on the prison bus. This is it, the apocalypse. Whoa, I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
And a little technical difficulty there for a second.
Well, technical difficulty. We're moving into our last segment. We're here every Thursday, 6 to 7, drive time special. I can see this clock begin to change already. Yesterday, I was out playing golf late in the evening. It started to get dark like 30 minutes early.
A realtor playing golf. I've never heard of that before.
Well, in the evenings when everything is calmed down, when there are no people beating down doors for loans.
When you were... So the first thing I heard is, I tell people that I'm in the real estate business, and they go, "You must play a lot of golf." It's like, I don't play that much golf. I play a little bit here and there, but it's kind of a little stigma that I think realtors have.
Well, you have to take your frustrations out on some things. You take it out on the white ball, right?
I think by the time I was like 30, I think I got beyond the frustration stage in golf. I no longer broke any clubs or threw them in the water or anything like that. I actually enjoyed it. So I've been enjoying golf for at least 20 years. But it takes a while. It takes a little bit of practice to do that. So anyway, I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is a Real Estate Report. You can call the show 800-516-1220, kind of winding down the hour. A couple of the other stories out there. We already talked a little bit about how, listing prices are being cut more common, especially in the high end. Weekly mortgage applications dropped as home buyers are falling off. I don't think I think these are just stories right now, and they're national stories. There's a crunch out there. Affordability is playing. Even the home builders are showing signs of slowing down because there's sentiment. They do this sentiment thing, how they feel about the next 6 months, and they're not feeling too good because they're saying, okay, we want to build a house, we want to sell it for this much, but who's going to afford it? We're not seeing a lot of that here in the Bay Area, but we are seeing that nationally. So don't read too much into these stories. Just kind of follow the trend, follow the stories. As an investor, we had an email earlier from Joe, and he's looking to probably cash out on some of the equity, which is a whole nother story about people sitting on equity they're not getting any rate of return. And this is kind of the tip of the iceberg here. And he wants to cash out a little bit of the equity and buy some real estate elsewhere, which is a story I'm sure every person who has a house is like, hey, I just cashed out and bought a property in Houston or after the hurricane, or I bought a house in Austin because I like Austin and I went to school there, for example. I think a lot more people are looking at this kind of angle.
Well, the thing that we always talk about, when you have California money, California mentality, those places look so attractive. But at the end of the day, they can't sustain the same value that you've come to accustom here in California. Very, 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 very careful when you're investing in out-of-state real estate. Sometimes if it's too good to be true, it generally is. We talk about affordability, affordable housing is a big factor. Many cities now are beginning to start evoke some affordable housing. San Francisco, for example, is raising the median income so more people can qualify for the affordable housing sector, which is actually good. You've seen a lot of.
You're talking about minimum wage?
No, affordable housing.
Okay.
Meaning that there's income attachments to affordable housing. San Francisco, I think now is going to go up to $130,000 to qualify for affordable housing, which is actually a good thing. People think person making $130,000 doesn't qualify. It's too much money for affordable housing, but in that area it actually isn't. So they're making it relative, which is very, very important. That's how you stimulate the market, and that's how you keep local people in the market by bringing those type of programs in.
Programs drive the market, and they are out there. If you have any questions about any of the programs that you're looking to buy a house, you're looking to refinance, take some cash out, but invest somewhere else, whether it's in California or elsewhere, we can give you the answers. We can run the numbers. I like the email from Joe earlier. That's a numbers game, and I don't want to say it's easy, but it's going to be shown to him in a way that will make sense, and he can make a decision on that. I wouldn't, get a couple opinions if you have to, and that's what we hope we are. Here is a good second opinion. You can always email us, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. Actually, we'll be on the air tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, same station. Hope you guys can listen. You can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. This is the Real Estate Report here on AM 1220 KDOW. We'll see you next week.